In the world of royalty, symbolism matters. A glance, a pause, a gesture that might pass unnoticed anywhere else can become loaded with meaning. That is why one fleeting moment, described years later in a memoir, continues to echo far beyond its original setting. Prince Harry once used a single word to describe his sister-in-law's reaction to a seemingly harmless request backstage at a public event. That word was grimace. The request itself was ordinary, a borrowed lip gloss, something women have shared without a second thought for generations. But in that instant, something far deeper was exposed. Not because of the makeup, but because of what it represented. Boundaries, distance, discomfort, and a relationship that was already strained before the world ever suspected it. That moment did not create the tension between Kate Middleton and Meghan Markle. It revealed it. From the outside, the public was being sold a modern fairy tale. 2 brothers, 2 wives, youth, glamour, and a carefully packaged image of unity that the press would later brand the Fab Four. It was a storyline the monarchy desperately needed. After years of scandals, divorces, and declining relevance, here was a new generation ready to rebrand the institution for the 21st century. But behind the smiles and choreographed appearances, the reality was far more complicated. According to people who observed the dynamic early on, the tension between Kate and Meghan was not rooted in petty jealousy or single incidents. It stemmed from something far more fundamental. 2 women who approached power, public life, and identity in completely different ways. Kate Middleton had spent years learning how to disappear into the role. Her rise within the royal family was slow, deliberate, and cautious. She waited nearly a decade before marriage, endured public scrutiny with restraint, and built her reputation on patience and compliance. Her success came from understanding that the monarchy values continuity over individuality. Meghan Markle arrived with a different worldview. She had spent her adult life cultivating a public voice. She was media-trained, outspoken, and accustomed to shaping her own narrative. Fame was not something that happened to her, it was something she actively navigated. When she entered royal life, she did not arrive empty-handed. She arrived with a fully formed identity. That difference alone would have been challenging. Inside the rigid framework of monarchy, it was combustible. In the earliest days, optimism dominated the story. When Prince Harry first introduced Meghan to William and Kate, the response was reportedly enthusiastic. The idea that Harry had found a partner who was accomplished, confident, and already familiar with public life seemed promising. Kate, in particular, was said to have hoped for companionship. Royal life can be isolating, especially for women, and the prospect of a sister-in-law who understood public pressure felt like an opportunity rather than a threat. The media ran with it immediately. Joint appearances were celebrated. Headlines framed the foursome as the future of the monarchy. Commentators spoke of balance, tradition paired with modernity, stability paired with charisma. For a brief period, it seemed plausible. But chemistry cannot be engineered. Those close to the situation noticed early that the 2 women related to the institution very differently. Kate treated the monarchy as something larger than herself. Meghan approached it as a platform that could be shaped, improved, and challenged. Neither approach is inherently wrong, but together they created friction. That friction became visible during public engagements, where the contrast between them was impossible to ignore. Meghan spoke fluidly, confidently, often at length. She connected easily with audiences, projecting warmth and certainty. Kate was more reserved, choosing precision over passion, restraint over performance. To seasoned royal observers, this was not a flaw, it was training. But to modern audiences, the contrast was stark. Inside palace walls, that contrast created unease. Royal hierarchy is not just about titles, it's about deference. Kate, as the wife of the future king, occupied a position Meghan had not yet earned, but attention does not always follow rank, and Meghan attracted attention effortlessly. That imbalance reportedly unsettled more than one person. The Royal Foundation Forum in early 2018 was meant to reinforce unity. Instead, it exposed disparity. On stage, Meghan dominated the conversation with ease. Kate appeared cautious, visibly pregnant, and physically drained. Observers later suggested that this event marked a turning point, not because of anything said publicly, but because of what was felt privately. Backstage, the now infamous lip gloss moment occurred. It was brief, it was awkward, and it symbolized a lack of familiarity that contradicted the image being projected to the world. Whatever warmth had existed between the two women had cooled by then. But the situation escalated further with a comment that allegedly crossed a line. According to accounts shared later, Meghan made a remark referencing baby brain in relation to Kate's pregnancy. In isolation, such a comment might be dismissed as casual. In context, it landed very differently. Kate was experiencing a severe and medically documented pregnancy condition that left her physically unwell and emotionally depleted. To those close to her, the remark felt dismissive of genuine suffering. This reportedly led to an unprecedented confrontation. All four royals met to address growing tensions. Such meetings are rare, precisely because the monarchy avoids internal conflict becoming explicit. The fact that it occurred at all suggests the seriousness of the situation. That conversation did not resolve the underlying issues, it merely acknowledged them. As the wedding approached, pressure intensified. Meghan was dealing with family turmoil playing out in the press, palace staff were stretched thin, emotions were raw. And then came the dispute that would define public perception for years, the bridesmaid dress controversy. For a long time, the dominant narrative claimed Meghan reduced Kate to tears. That version circulated widely and stuck. But years later, Prince Harry offered a different account, asserting that Meghan was the one who cried following disagreements over fitting schedules and design details for Princess Charlotte's dress. According to Harry, Kate later apologized, bringing flowers as a peace offering. Whether one version is more accurate than the other remains contested. What matters is that the incident reinforced an already toxic dynamic. Instead of solidarity during a stressful family event, the two women found themselves on opposite sides of a conflict that symbolized much more than fabric and tailoring. Silence followed. Kate did not publicly address the story. She adhered to the long-standing royal principle of non-engagement. Meghan carried the weight of a narrative she believed was false. Years later, during a televised interview watched by millions, Meghan corrected the record. She stated plainly that the story had been reversed. That moment reshaped everything. For supporters, it was overdue self-defense. For critics, it was a breach of an unspoken rule. Kate, bound by protocol, could not respond. The correction landed publicly, permanently, and without rebuttal. From that point forward, reconciliation became increasingly unlikely. The interview marked a philosophical divide. William and Kate remained committed to institutional silence. Harry and Meghan embraced public disclosure. One side believed dignity lay in restraint. The other believed truth required a platform. These approaches could not coexist. The fallout extended beyond personal relationships. Social circles fractured, invitations became selective, long-standing friendships were quietly severed. When major figures in aristocratic society began excluding Harry and Meghan from events they once would have attended, it signaled more than social discomfort. It reflected a broader loss of trust. Concerns emerged that any appearance involving Meghan risked becoming overshadowed. Whether fair or not, the perception hardened. Even pregnancy announcements and major interviews were re-examined through this lens, reinforcing a belief that attention followed her wherever she went. Meanwhile, public opinion shifted dramatically. In the years following their departure from royal duties, polling data showed a consistent pattern. William and Kate's approval remained high, buoyed by perceived stability and restraint. Harry and Meghan's ratings declined steadily, particularly in the UK. Each new project, interview, or documentary seemed to deepen polarization rather than repair reputation. The contrast became especially stark during periods of crisis. Kate's health challenges were met with public sympathy and admiration for her discretion. Harry's memoir, while commercially successful, reinforced perceptions of grievance and resentment. The irony was difficult to ignore. In seeking independence, Harry discovered that his relevance remained tied to the institution he left behind. Looking back, the collapse of the Fab Four appears less like a sudden betrayal and more like an inevitable outcome of incompatible philosophies. Kate and Meghan were never destined to be close allies. Their values, instincts, and definitions of power diverged too sharply. One believed influence came from endurance, the other believed it came from expression. One served the institution quietly, the other challenged it openly. Neither approach is inherently wrong or right, but together they proved